So briefly, a little bit before even trying it on is um, your authoring process. Like when you write or you prepare a paper, how do you handle the bibliography?
So when I had many different ways.
Yeah.
I tried Mendeley.
Yeah.
A long time ago, but I kind of abandoned it.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at organization. I know that some people use Mendeley and they're happy,
Yeah,
but for me that doesn't work. So what I have is basically I always start some LaTeX paper, and I put references there.
Okay.
And even if sometimes it's a paper that never gets published, but I have like a collection of thoughts and references in a document related to some content.
Right.
So because usually it's not only the paper you want, but also some kind of a metadata or some kind of a description, like information from that paper. So I have like white papers, and then I have BibTeX references to particular papers.
Okay. And do you usually then do kind of mix match of the different references from previous papers you wrote? For just the references, I mean? Or do you have one file where you keep all those references anyway, a kind of database of references?
No, I don't collect like together the references together. I don't find it very productive. I mean, it's a nice idea, but I never actually used it. It's like the Mendeley. You have one database with a lot of references, but usually it's just the other references, they just in the way. So if I want to know, so let's say I'm starting to write a paper, I usually have some thoughts about the other papers. So I just put them together in this new paper and add more as I browse.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess also as you write the paper down, you add and remove references. It's not just, let's say, at the beginning or...
Yeah, usually if you have, I mean, yeah, so usually I have this white paper, so I keep adding to the BibTeX file, but I think I rarely remove references. So usually when I add references, I have a good reason. I always have this strategy of, if there is a paper that is relevant, then usually there is a reason why it's relevant, and I put it there. I mean, it might happen that I remove it, but usually I mostly add stuff. And I try to have I only add the really good papers. If it's like marginally interesting, then I don't put it in a paper.
Okay. And do you dedicate, I don't know if it's possible as a ratio, but you dedicate some time just for editing the bibliography, or do you, as you write the content, the argument, then you adjust it, or is it really... Yeah, do you have a moment just for the bibliography, basically?
So the nice thing of BibTeX is that you kind of don't... So most of the systems where you can copy the BibTeX reference, then they have it well formatted such that it can be then copy-pasted to your bib database. And then in LaTeX you just mention like what is the reference style you want, and it converts it. But at the end of the day, once the paper is in reasonably final form, I go through the references and make sure that everything important is mentioned there. Let's say that, I don't know, every reference has a journal name.
So does it also mean it's roughly like add only list of references, like as you write one more line with one more references? Okay. And do you often, for example, would you say it's one-on-one, namely that you have one reference for an argument that links to the bibliography, or is it sometimes, I guess for books, a bunch of quotes that link to the same content? Do you actually even mention books, or is it only papers that you mention?
No, I mean, it's the same way as I mentioned journals. It might be conference contributions or books. I mean, it's all in one group,
Yeah, but I mean, do you... not sure how to say this, but when you do the argument, you write your paper, and you want to mention something that comes from a specific reference. Is it usually one quote, one reference, or is it multiple quote, one reference? On average, I mean.
Yeah, on average, I think it's 1-on-1, but it happens that, I mean, like for instance, in iris recognition, there is like one big name,
Yeah.
like Professor Dagman. Then like I do reference a lot to him.
Yeah.
So it might be like multiple references in a paper to him,
Yeah.
but then I just mention it always in the angular brackets that. In the brackets that this is the reference 55, or sometimes I even mention it for it, like John Dagman mentioned this in his paper and I put the number there.
Okay. So the suggestion here is not BibTeX based, even though we did at some point have some input on BibTeX. But the idea is if you were to write a paper and you use whatever tools you have, desktop or whiteboard like this, or blackboard or whatnot, how would you play with the bibliography? If you had, let's say, virtual shelves with the like documents and whatnot. So it's very minimalist, but I invite you to try to put the headset on. Hopefully you will be directly in that space. It's in VR, not in pass-through AR.
Okay, I see something loading. Okay, I see a black rectangle here with some text.
Yes.
I see something yellow in front of me. That's a shelf, I assume. Show desk panels, hide desk panels, show background, hide background. Okay.
Do you prefer I describe a bit what you can do, or do you want to keep on exploring?
I don't know. So I can. No, too far. No, I can go closer. Okay, so I brought some. I took something orange cylinder.
Yeah.
And I can. No, it's gone. I put it on a shelf.
Yes. So I'll.
There it is,
yes.
But it's quite far.
Yes.
I don't.
Probably not grab it anymore.
No. Okay, I'll take another one. Okay, so I have a. Okay, can I draw something with it? No.
Which color is it?
It's a purple cylinder again.
Yeah. So because we have limited time, I'll give you a couple of hints. First of all, do you see text actually?
Yes, there is a show background, show desk panels.
So if you want, so you understood that with your right hand you could pinch at the first letter and move the stuff. Those are code snippets. So for example, if you left pinch on show background, so here use your right hand to move, but if you do it with your left hand and you release, so
show background.
Yeah. No, you pinch and you release.
Okay.
Do you see a background?
There is some instructions. Right pinch to move, left pinch to execute.
But when you do show background, it doesn't show anything? Maybe I modify this. You can also, so with your right hand, you can tap on the wrist of the left hand.
With my right hand, I can.
Basically, you touch your watch. And normally that shows and hides, that toggles the code snippets. You're with the index of your right, on the sphere. You see?
Okay. But I do that. Now it's hides instructions.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So basically, the idea is that you have different modes where if you want to just think or read or organize documents, you would hide the instruction. But if you need to interact with it, you could show them. The black board on your left is the console. So if you have errors, you could see the output of it and interact with. And then all the white wireframe panels around you, they are basically document holders. If you were to take a PDF from a paper, it would be displayed either the first page or a single page in there. They are not filled up at the moment with the document, but the web page where it's at, you can drag and drop on it a PDF of your paper, for example, and it would upload it and convert it, and then you could read and manipulate it. One thing also to try before we stop, if you pinch on the middle of the big yellow shelf, it's kind of tricky to get the middle of it.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Good.
Oh,
yeah, physical rules still exist. And when you release, normally it snaps back horizontally.
Yeah.
The idea being it's parallel to the floor. It could be your desk, so that you can interact with your real stuff if you want to, or you avoid like hitting your desk and hurting yourself.
Yeah, that's nice shelf. This ball is on the corner.
So if you pick the yellow ball and you move it and you release it, and you release it, you'll see you change the geometry of the shelf.
Oh, I see.
Because we don't have all the same shelf or desk space, basically.
Yeah, but. Okay, I moved it here, and no, I think this is good. I moved it here, and I don't know how to move it back.
You need to pinch in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And the middle is tricky to reach.
There it is.
Nice. So one again, in the interest of time, do you display do you have the code snippets in front of you, the text?
Yes, here is some.
Can you, if you were to imagine that they were not instruction but also, for example, part of the bibliography, with eventually attached to them like the first page of the paper or the first line of the paper, can you imagine like using this to either manage the bibliography or start to write, to annotate for a paper?
Say it again?
Imagine that those code snippets, instead of being code, there were items of the bibliography of the paper you're writing at the moment. How would you imagine, for example, interacting with them? Just like it's part of a list, but you don't touch it anymore because, as I understood earlier, you say it's pretty much like append only. Would you imagine a link to the content of the paper, even if it's just a draft at the moment?
Yeah, no, but I think that might work, such that you have like some references around. You're writing your paper here, and you just take it, like put it there. That I can imagine to do. But one thing where I kind of feel this could be even more interesting is just using this for Python coding. It's like because in Python I often have like in machine learning you have this popular these IPython notebooks. So it's basically the same thing. It's like you have a command, you train, and then you have like a snippet of code. It's a function you do, and you can move it somewhere. So you have this thing, and you decide like in what sequence you run the cells. So I can imagine that having cells that you run this thing, you run this thing, you run this thing, this, and you feel like it's kind of a minority report interface. But in a useful way, because in IPython notebook there is many times it does really happen that you don't want to run everything in a sequence. You just like this, and then you see output somewhere. So that I see, but for the references, perhaps, but maybe I don't want to see it as a text when it's a reference. Oops, everything froze up somehow. I don't know. It's back. There's a lot of stuff happening on the black screen.
Is it red?
No.
Okay, then it should be fine.
I moved it somehow.
I will invite you to play with it a bit more, but again, I think for the interest of time, that will be.
There is something there's one black stuff here. There is another black stuff here. I think it's like a screenshot or something.
Maybe. I cannot let you try with it. You'll try more, don't worry.
Yeah, it's something got broken there.
If if it's a screenshot, then I'll keep it and eventually and send it to you as a reference, because I think honestly, well, I didn't want to show you everything, but some of it, some of the interaction there in terms of remembering what you've done, being able to do screenshots.
Save screenshots.
Yes, and it's saved server side, so that, for example, here you had ideas. You mentioned programming in Python, for example, due to the cells being in a specific order. Thank you. It's interesting because the ideas you have now, they were like kind of embodied in that screenshot. So when I'll send you the link to the screenshot, you can either type back the idea you have, or I can put the video as a link to it. But it's the starting point for the implementation, basically.
Yeah.
Because you cannot remember everything you've done, but the screenshot is a kind of bookmark for further thoughts. Super. Anything you want to add specifically to anything, actually?
No, I mean, I find this useful, but I really would like to see something like that for the Python stuff. That's probably not what you wanted to hear, but
no, it's okay. It's okay.
But I really have a lot of times when like you have a chunks of codes and you write it in a sequence on your page because you have no other option. But sometimes you don't want to have it as a sequence. Yeah. So being able to move it around and say like this one now, this is something. So like more like organizing your code in a non-linear way.
So in technically speaking, in JavaScript, that would work today because the console is interactive. So it's not just displaying messages. If you have a Bluetooth keyboard, for example, you type the code, it appears there, you can execute it.
Yeah. But I mean, the IPython notebook, the Jupyter is also online. So in theory, you can.
Yeah, it's a bit trickier, but yes. And also, I've done some integration with containers. So basically, the code you run runs in the container. You send it to the container, you get the output back. So you can run Python or whatever kind of language you want, any kind of language.
Yeah.
It runs it server side, but it might also be what you want, because if you have a big data set, the headset is not going to be, probably don't want it to run on the headset. But yeah, super.
No, but like it's like if you have a big data set, you don't have it on a headset. But like I also don't have it in a browser when I work with IPython notebook. It's always somewhere else. Yeah. It's just that the cell would not be like sequence of cells, but like cells in a similar way, such as you can run things and do stuff here.
And you can imagine, for example, that when you pick two cells, or when you drop a cell on top of another, you merge them. So for example, that's going to be next to the other, or in sequence, for example. So the speciality of it can change the execution flow, basically.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like I would want to be the one who decides which cell is.
Like a drum kit for code.
Yeah. But like even in IPython notebook, you can easily switch cells, like grab and put it higher. So that's nice. But it's just that the sequence is limiting, and now you cannot make like grab it and make a new notebook out of it, because even if you could do it, like you extract it somewhere else and you don't see it anymore. Whereas here you can do one thing, and here is a training, here is a validation, and here is a database loading or something like that. Yeah. So you could actually go there and make it bigger and run things in a sequence. Then I can imagine that for machine learning, that would be a big help. Because what I do now is I have a lot of different IPython notebooks, and even though I want to I can extract function into my own library, but sometimes it's just easier to just copy the function, and I have like the same function in two notebooks. And that's it's a bit. So it's nice to extract something to a library, but then you have like you want to have a self-sufficient IPython notebook, because then it's everything documented there. So that's a bit tricky. Yeah. But for references, the question is also like, would I write a paper in the VR or not? Because I usually write a paper in Overleaf, so that's then I just write the references there.
Yeah. We can try. You can try either the whole paper or just looking at it and see if that's helpful. Like it brings this idea for extending the bibliography or the references. Super, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.